Hey y'all, it's Nancy, the Handy Scandy. Thanks for joining me for another crafty venture. We are going to be making some sweet, sweet cards today, as you can see on the screen. And this is where indecisive proves to be my benefit, if that makes any sense. We'll talk about that indecision here in a second. But yeah, I just had a hard time in the beginning. So I have these backgrounds that I actually created just from kind of smushing or daubing up some watercolor paint from my work surface. And I had several of these backgrounds. I had these 4, these 5. I have some ATCs, and I went back and forth on what I was going to do. And as soon as I thought I had made a decision, then I changed my mind several times. You can see I'm going back and forth. You can see my thought process. There, I've got the green, nope, the pink. And then I get started, and you'll see in a minute that I end up actually bringing the green one back in as well. And as you saw in the beginning, I will have 2 cards made basically with the same supplies, but they look very different. So again, I have these backgrounds. They were created just by smushing and daubing up watercolor paint. So these are watercolor. They're very soft, very subtle, and lots of watercolor movement, but it's not like grungy grunge like I normally do. And so I have this Tartan Plaid rubber cling background stamp that I absolutely love. Stamped these out in my Versamark ink, and I'm using, this is called Frostbite embossing powder. It's from Brutus, Monroe. I do not know if they have it or not anymore. It was from the embossing month of the embossing powder of the month club from a couple years ago. I don't even know if Brutus Monroe still has that club or not, but this embossing powder has been one of my favorites over the years, and you can see I'm down to the nitty-gritty of it. I don't have a lot left, but it's just very soft. It's very subtle. It just has a little bit of shimmer and shine to it, just like the glistening snow, and I thought that was perfect for these cards. So as you can see, I heat embossed them, and then I set them aside. And now this is the star of the show. The background just sets the stage, but this sweet little snow person is the star of the show. Now this rubber cling stamp is called Candlelight. And of course, when you're stamping with rubber, you want to take out the insert from your stamping platform, because you just don't need that excess bulk, because the stamp itself already has that extra cushion. So I used my heat gun to kind of dry the ink. I didn't do any heat embossing. I just dried the ink to prevent smudging. Then of course I have my Arteza Everblend Ultras. These are my alcohol ink markers. And I have some of the regular Everblends as well that will make an appearance sooner than later. And I just chose a variety of shades of soft pinks and soft greens that would either match or coordinate with my backgrounds. And I am not a meticulous colorer. I am still very much learning, but my process is always light to dark, dark to light. And then sometimes, there's almost always a third color in there, like a mid color, if you will, that's not light or dark, that kind of is like I'll say the liaison, the one that brings them both together. And then sometimes I'll bring in a 4th color, like what we used to call a scary dark. We had a friend that was helping us when we were first making YouTube channels, and she used to call it the scary dark. And that is the one that actually adds the depth and the dimension and the deep shadows that just bring an image to life, but it's the one that we're always afraid to use. But every now and then I'll bring out a scary dark, and that's what does all those wonderful things. It just kind of takes my coloring to the next level, if you will. And again, I still consider myself very much learning. I am improving, but I'm still very much learning. So again, not meticulous at all, just laying color down and then blending it out. And I know that might sound oversimplified, but that's just what I do. So again, with the darkest color here, just adding to the edges, and then I come back in with my mid-tone and then just blend it all out. Now this one is from my regular Everblends, and this has more of a bullet nib, and it's a very firm nib, so it doesn't have that soft brush tip that the Ultras have. But I love that pink. I thought that was the perfect shade of pink to kind of match the card, that pink background. And then I also used that same pink just to add my highlights and kind of the depth on my snow person, as well as to my little snowy banks. Now normally we might use a blue or a gray or something like that, but this is my pinky gray. I have, well, the Everblends have a lot of different grays. There's green grays, blue grays, purple grays, pink grays, orange grays, and so I just went with my pink one of my pink ones on this, and then you'll see on the green one I actually use kind of a green gray as well. So you guys know me, I am a fussy cutting fool, but I am not about to fussy cut all those sweet tenderly bits. So I was kind of sad about that, because that is kind of what makes this card, this stamp, so adorable. But if you don't know that they're missing, you just don't know that they're missing. And now here I have the Polka Dot Stencil, as you can see, and I'm using some of the Distressed Snowflake grit paste. But it turns out to be so translucent that you don't even see it's there once it's dry. So I clean everything up, I set those aside to dry, and I come back and you couldn't really see. So I went back in with my texture paste and I laid down another layer of, well, of snow flurries, if you will. But what I'm finding as I run these through my die cutting machine is that that paste isn't quite dry yet. So here I'm using the rectangle shaker maker dies, and that's going to be kind of setting the scene for my little green guy as I audition him to make sure that he's going to fit within that smaller frame. And then this is the sprinkle scallop die, and you can see, yeah, that paste was not dry at all, so I had to clean that off and take a minute, and you can see where it's been pulled up. But I ran my Trees Assortment dies through the die cutting machine, and I have backgrounds for both of these guys. And on this card you can see that the snow person image, as well as the tree layer, was run through the rectangle, no, the sprinkle scallop rectangle die, because I knew that they were going to be all the way up to the edge, and I didn't want those to be a blunt edge. I wanted them to have that same beautiful sprinkly scalloped edge. And so guys, if you watched over on my channel when I had a Crafty haul video not too long ago, I showed that I got these 3 Marvy snow pins, and this is my first time to pull them out and use them. And I was actually a little conservative on this card. I thought it was going to be really cute, adding the snow detail not only to the snow banks but to the trees, etc. And it adds the texture and that detail, and I thought it was super cute. And it is super cute. And you can go as liberal or as conservative as you want with this type of thing. And I thought this was perfect until I had a happy accident on the green one. And so I pushed down. This is one of those pins that you have to push down to prime and then the product comes out. Well, look at how much came out. And I thought, oh my gosh, what have I done? But then I heated up. I spread it out as much as I could, and I heated up. And this was serendipitous. Like, you guys know that I don't believe in perfection, but this was a perfect accident, and I'm super happy about it. So I was just kind of admiring that and wondering what I wanted to do with the pink one, which we'll get to in a minute. But in the meantime, I'm stamping out my sentiments, and they are from the Mini Christmas rubber cling stamp set, and I just stamped them all out. And as you can see, I just used my die cutter and adhered them on. What I was doing there, you see that little buffing pad over on the right? I used that to try to get some of those little frayed bits on that left side of this card. Didn't work as well as I had hoped, only because I need a new buffer pad. But I also added my Nouveau Crystal Glaze to some of the other places on the cards, like the bell and the candle and things. And here's where I decided I was going to go back in with more snow on the pink one. And look at that texture and that dimension, and it just speaks more to the story. And I love that I put it on the Warm Wishes sign. And this is the snow pin up close, the snow marker, if anybody's interested. And I just had a good time with that. And here is where I had to take it to the next level. You guys know I love This Calls for Confetti. And so I have some new ones for Christmas. I have those white glossy snowflakes there on the far right. But while I have my trays out, I'm like, look at all these options that could really work. You could go with white, you could go with the sparkle gems, which is what I end up doing. But there are so many different whites and iridescence and coordinating reds and pinks and even some purples that would work, and some greens, and you can go dark and you can go light, and you can just go in so many different directions. I mean, it's limitless. It really is. They all would work in their own way for different reasons. And if you have a mix, you can just pull out the ones that you need and leave the ones that you don't. So many options. So if you have not already checked out This Calls for Confetti, I would encourage you to do so. I'll link to their web store, as well as some of them that you can get on the Whimsy Stamps site, because they do a lot of exclusives on Whimsy's site as well. So I know I'm spending a lot of time here, but I just wanted you guys to see how many different directions you could really take this. And so on this green one, I have the sparkle gems in the diamond sparkle. Let me make sure that's right. Let me flip this over. Yes, this is the diamond sparkle. And look at the sparkle, and you can also see the glossy white snowflakes. And you can see where that texture paste flattened out, and you can still see the tartan plaid. I think the tartan plaid is a really sweet touch. Now the sparkle gems on the pink card are the ice sparkle, and they sparkle as well, but they sparkle in a very different way. Their sparkle is more of a clear sparkle, whereas the diamond sparkle has a little bit of color and iridescence to them. But again, you can see where the paste got mashed, but I'm not mad about that. And I love the little snowflakes. I mean, I just love everything about these cards, you guys. And this is why I'm saying that Indecision really paid off for me. I think they're super cute. And I ended up making 2 cards, very similar, but still very different. Like this scene is like condensed to that middle frame. And then obviously the pink one is a different orientation, and it covers the whole base. So guys, tell me what you think. Do you have a favorite of these 2 cards? I don't know. My sister, if you don't know, I live with my sister, and she said of all the cards I've made over the years, these 2 are her favorite. So I think that says a lot, and I will take that. And ultimately she will get these cards and be able to send them to her friends back home in Colorado, where they get lots of snow. We don't get a whole lot of snow here in North Carolina, but these were very fun to make. So many different Whimsy Stamps products used, and so many different sparkle blend options, and you saw the 3 that I ended up using. And I just can't thank you guys enough for spending some time with me today, for allowing me to share my process with you. And as always, I would ask you to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you're not already a member of my Crafty tribe, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell, and you'll be alerted every time I post something new. And guys, if you are already members, you know I love you. I hold you very dear to my heart, and I thank each one of you for spending time with me today. So until next time, guys, drop me a comment downstairs. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. And until then, mwah, this is Nancy, the Handy Scandy, and I'm out.